So, when one thinks of Japanese cultural exports, one may instantly think of anime. One may think of something that rhymes with Sentai. One may think of manga. And then there's the movies, of course. You got your samurai movies. You got the kaiju. You got the yakuza. You even have the historical epics. But what about something that is one could consider to be something a little different? In this case, Typhoon Club from 1985. Winner of the Grand Prix at the first Tokyo International Film Festival, 1985. Typhoon Club is widely regarded as the seminal film of director Shinji Samai's career. Work of raw elemental power, it follows an ensemble of junior high school students in a provincial town, beset by a summery malaise as a typhoon looms. When the storm makes landfall, the teens find themselves holed up in their school, unsupervised, while another classmate, Yuki Kudo, disappears alone on a harrowing trek to the big city. Set adrift in a world sling unmoored, the students let loose their pent-up angst and burgeoning passions in a series of propulsive, phantasmic scenes, part apocalyptic, part utopia, as the deluge rages on into the night. Observant daring long takes, director Somai gives material form to the students' turbulent inner lives. When the day breaks and the rain lets up, the youngsters open their eyes to the world in ruins or world renewed. The 10th best Japanese film of all time, according to Japan's Kinema Junpo poll, which is their equivalent of the British Sights and Sounds magazine or the American Film Institute. So, this one is 1985, restored 2023, 115 minutes. This one is a combination of many things. The way how I view this is, if John Hughes made a Japanese movie with The Breakfast Club. The Breakfast Club would be a good comparison, but it's not. This one's not as loud, or it doesn't have the great soundtrack. This one's a more, as it was said on Google, nostalgic, sensitive, and whatever the last one was. But so yeah, we get to see their lives, but it's the camera that is kind of the way that shows certain scenes that happens, because sometimes it could be outside the window or it could still be there, but it's not. There's barely any. There's no jump cuts, like maybe one or two. That's about it. But instead, we get forced to pay attention to what's going on in the actual scene. And oh boy, there are some interesting scenes. Let's just say this: Japan is more loose with their how they perceive sexuality. I'm just look it up online. I don't want to say anything. So, some of the scenes in here capture 1980s Japan, and just how it's like, yeah, let's get some children that are in school, and with all the angst and pent up aggression, and what happens when one gets into their adolescence, they start exploring sexuality. Let's just say that this is like a great exploration of that. It's also a kind of anti-coming of age film, because rather than just like have a happy resolution, or where some things may happen with some like music and things like that, instead ultimately it just comes down to what I would consider to be harrowing scenes that could possibly happen. It's just, you just look at it. It's like there's a brawl that ensues in a classroom, so it's like, let's get the camera to roll down the dolly line, or whatever it's called. It's like there's some fisticuffs going on. It's going to capture some of it. Goes behind a wall. We see another scene of it happening. Then and then camera rolls, and then we still see some punching and things like that. And it's where just this brawl happens, and it's uncomfortable to watch. But at the same time, it is so mesmerizing to see. And of course, there is this massive typhoon that is coming in, and when these kids are really the only ones in the school, certain frustration, certain proclivities, it's uninhibited. It's uninhibited, and it's like just you could tell it's interesting to see this happening. At the same time, it's like kind of like in, I guess, Stephen King's It. I guess would, like, you know how that scene was done in the 2017 one. I it's, yeah, you know, if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. It's like that, but imagine that with just like just one long take, and just you know, they're kind of singing in the rain, whether it's certain things are, it's like they're relieving themselves sexually. I don't want to get any more into that, but that's just, it's not gratuitous. It's deals with the what was it? That was the propulsive phantasmic scenes part, apocalypse part, utopia. There's also the uh, apocalyptic part, just because of all the rain coming down, and it is just like it said, because there's some disturbing scenes. There's one particular scene where a boy is following a girl, and it's just one long take of him kicking, just trying to get into trying to find her, and then do some misdeeds. You can figure out where it is, and it's like the kicking sound, just focusing on it. It's uncomfortable, and it goes on for a good, what, 3 to 5 minutes. She tries to escape, but he is very pursuant, and eventually gets down into like a, because all the teachers are gone, they can't break this up. It makes you watch it. Really does, you know. There's also like the adults, you know, they're drunk, and they're like drunk singing karaoke and songs and stuff like that, and one of the students tries to call the teacher, saying, "Hey, can you please rescue us?" It's like, I don't know who you are. I'm drunk right now. And then he says, listen, teacher, you know, you're not a bad guy, but you're doing some bad things right now. So it's like the adults aren't going to blame as much as the children are. So I guess it's also kind of one could say, a critique of the then rigid collectivist society of Japan in the 1980s. So I guess that was like a critique of that, and you know, this movie it's not lyrical or poetic. It's in a way something that you have to see, but be prepared to be uncomfortable, because it's a low key, but when the stakes, low key, high stakes, if that makes any sense. That'd be the best way to describe this movie. I mean, even in the beginning, where there are some girls who are like bullying a kid, he almost drowns because they like got the pool rope wrapped around his neck, and they're like going and dunking him, and the next day it's like they barely get reprimanded, and they do get reprimanded, but they act as if nothing happened, because bullying is a huge, maybe it still is, maybe it is not, like a huge problem in Japan, and it's been going on. It's just how, but at the same time, it's like, it is such a gosh darn good film to watch, just like their lives, you know. So I don't know. It's just it's just a great movie to see. That it's 2 hours long, and it does feel kind of lengthy, but in a good way. So I don't know, if you want to see something different that's, you know, uncomfortable, at the same time, you know, it's like kind of nostalgic in a way. If John Hughes and made a kind of, John Hughes read a whole bunch of Stephen King books and made it an interpretation of that, I recommend that you do watch Typhoon Club.